This was a Ferrari 296. That was until the previous owner crashed it. And then I bought it in hopes to rebuild it.
There is a car sitting in a workshop in Leicester that Ferrari's own dealership in Cyprus declared impossible to repair. A man with no factory training, no official backing, and no support from Maranello took that wreck and rebuilt it from the ground up. The real story is what happened after, when a senior Ferrari powertrain engineer named Marco Mattiacci, who had spent over a decade inside Ferrari's authorized technical network, watched this rebuild unfold online. What Marco revealed about software locks, hidden blacklists, and who really owns a modern Ferrari will change how you think about expensive cars forever. Stay with us, because the truth Ferrari never wanted on camera is about to come out.
This damage here is really bad structural damage, and if we're going to attempt to try and fix that, we need to get to both sides of it.
The engineer who walked out. Nobody saw this coming. For months, the Matt Armstrong Ferrari story had played out like a slow, painful fight against a wall. A man in a garage in Leicester, doing everything right, hitting every dead end, blocked parts, refused phone calls, a $20,000 battery that changed absolutely nothing, and Ferrari, a multi-billion-pound company, staying completely silent while nearly 3 million people watched. Then, someone on the inside had enough. Marco Mattiacci was not a random viewer who felt sorry for Matt. He was a senior powertrain engineer who had spent years working within Ferrari's authorized technical network. He understood the 296 GTB's hybrid architecture at a level almost nobody outside Maranello ever reaches. He knew how the battery management systems were programmed. He knew how the ECU modules communicated with each other. He knew the exact software handshakes that were keeping that car permanently switched off. And, more importantly, he knew why those locks existed in the first place.
This is the Ferrari 296 GTB, an absolutely ridiculous car, you might be saying, and I agree, but I'm using it as an excuse to talk about this new hybrid drivetrain thing happening to sports cars and supercars that we're going to start seeing a lot more of. And it's
Marco had been watching Matt's videos, every single episode, and with each one, something was building inside him. He watched Matt source panels from across Europe after Ferrari's own dealer said parts were unavailable. He watched Matt weld, fabricate, and rebuild a machine that had been written off as scrap. He watched Matt spend $20,000 on a brand new battery system, only to watch it do absolutely nothing. He watched Ferrari refuse to help a paying customer who had done everything in his power to fix something the company itself was unwilling to touch. And then Marco made his decision. He did not write a resignation letter explaining himself to the press. He did not post anything online. He simply walked away from Ferrari's authorized network and drove to a garage in the English Midlands. Think about the weight of that. This was not someone leaking a document anonymously. This was not a disgruntled customer venting in a forum. This was a trained Ferrari engineer with real insider knowledge of one of the most secretive automotive brands in the world, walking into a YouTube creator's workshop and saying, "Let me show you how this actually works." What Marco revealed changed everything. He explained that the software locks preventing the car from starting were not simply a security feature meant to protect it from theft or damage. They were something far more deliberate. Ferrari's entire electronics architecture, Marco said, is built around one core assumption: that Ferrari will always be in the loop, that every car will always pass through an authorized dealer at some point, that the owner's experience of the machine will always be managed, filtered, and controlled by Ferrari's own network. The moment that assumption breaks a serious crash, a rebuild done outside the certified system, a modification Ferrari never approved, the system does not simply stop helping. It actively refuses to function. It shuts the car down at the software level and holds it there until Ferrari decides otherwise. The blacklist nobody talks about. To understand why Ferrari behaves this way, you have to understand what Ferrari actually is. Most people think of Ferrari as a car company, a manufacturer that builds machines and sells them to customers. But that framing misses something fundamental. Ferrari does not just sell cars. Ferrari sells membership to an idea, an identity, a very carefully controlled image of what it means to own something extraordinary. And the moment someone threatens that image, whether they are a pop star, a journalist, a reality television personality, or a YouTube creator in Leicester, Ferrari protects the image before it protects the customer. Marco confirmed that the Ferrari blacklist is not a fictional concept and not an exaggeration. It is an informal but very real system. Something he had seen, acknowledged quietly within the company, that restricts certain individuals from purchasing new Ferrari vehicles directly from the manufacturer. Ferrari has never officially admitted it exists. There is no document with names written in red ink. Instead, it is a policy woven so deeply into Ferrari's sales culture that it operates almost invisibly. Certain buyers are quietly flagged. Certain orders are silently declined. Certain customers find their allocated car suddenly unavailable with no explanation offered. Justin Bieber found out the hard way. He purchased a Ferrari 458 Italia and then made two mistakes Ferrari considered unforgivable. First, he had the car illegally modified. Second, he tried to sell the car at a charity auction, which Ferrari viewed as flipping using the brand's exclusivity for personal financial gain. Ferrari blacklisted him permanently. He cannot buy a new Ferrari directly from the manufacturer, no matter how much money he offers. Kim Kardashian's situation was different but equally revealing. She was not banned for what she did to the car. She was rejected because of how she promoted it. Her public image, as carefully curated as it is, did not align with the image Ferrari works to maintain. Ferrari decided the association was not beneficial. That was enough. Chris Harris is perhaps the most important example of all. Harris is a respected automotive journalist who has spent his career driving and reviewing cars at the highest level.
Wyra 2022, Leeds Airport, one of the best sounding cars ever made.
He wrote a detailed, damaging exposé, accusing Ferrari of building special media test cars that were not representative of what paying customers actually received. Cars tuned and prepared in ways production vehicles were not, giving buyers an unrealistic impression of what they were purchasing. Ferrari banned him from driving their cars. A journalist blacklisted for writing what he believed to be the truth. The door that kept closing. Matt Armstrong called Ferrari. That seems like the obvious thing to do. You have a Ferrari. It will not start. You have already done everything you can without manufacturer support. So you call the manufacturer. The response was immediate and very clear. Ferrari would not touch the car. The repair work had not been carried out by an authorized Ferrari technician. The car had been rebuilt outside their certified network. Even the purely cosmetic modifications had not gone through proper channels. Because of all that, Ferrari could not, or would not, intervene. Matt had spent months turning a pile of crash-damaged parts into something extraordinary. He had sourced panels from across Europe. He had welded, shaped, and painted. He had brought the car to a standard that, visually, looked better than stock. And Ferrari's position was that none of that counted, because Ferrari had not done it. So Matt did what any determined person does when the front door is locked. He looked for another way in. He replaced components. He combed through every forum discussing Ferrari hybrid systems. He tracked down engineers and technicians with any knowledge of the 296's architecture. He followed every lead, chased every thread, and tried every fix anyone suggested might work. Nothing changed. The car stayed silent. Then came the battery decision. After exhausting every other option, Matt and his team concluded that the battery management system was the core of the problem. The module controlling all internal battery operations appeared to be blocking the car from powering up entirely. The solution seemed simple. Replace the battery system with a brand new unit. Matt spent over $20,000. The new battery went in. The team ran the checks. They waited. The car still would not start. $20,000 gone, and the engine still silent. That moment, standing in a garage looking at a machine you have poured months of work and tens of thousands of dollars into, watching a brand new battery system do absolutely nothing, is the kind of moment that ends projects. Most people would cut their losses, sell what was left, and walk away with whatever could be recovered. Matt Armstrong is not most people. He went back to the problem from a different angle, trying to understand exactly what the battery management controller was doing and why. He reached out to more specialists and dug into whatever technical documentation was publicly available, which, for a Ferrari hybrid system, is not much. Ferrari's proprietary systems are some of the most tightly controlled in the automotive industry. There is no open-source community for 296 GTB ECU protocols, no unofficial repair manuals, and no network of independent technicians who have cracked the system and shared what they know. The car Ferrari wanted to forget, the Ferrari 296 GTB that ended up in Matt Armstrong's garage, did not start its life in Leicester. It started in Cyprus, where a British owner, driving on an open road, made the kind of mistake supercar owners sometimes make. He switched off the driver assistance systems. The electronic safety nets that manage power delivery, traction, and stability on modern performance cars were turned off on a public road at speed. The result was catastrophic. The driver lost control and hit something hard. The car was ripped apart, suspension torn out, floor panels pierced, wiring shredded throughout, bodywork on multiple panels destroyed beyond simple repair. The local Ferrari dealership in Cyprus examined what remained and was direct. Repairing this 296 GTB through official channels was simply not possible. The damage was too extensive, and the cost would be astronomical. For all practical purposes, the car was finished. Most people would have accepted that, taken the insurance payout, and moved on. The car would have been crushed or parted out, another wrecked supercar quietly disappearing from the world. Matt Armstrong heard the word impossible and thought, perfect. Matt Armstrong is a British automotive YouTuber based in Leicester who has built his channel and his reputation entirely around cars the industry has written off. He has rebuilt written-off Lamborghinis. He resurrected a Porsche GT3 RS that insurers had declared a total loss. He once pulled an Aston Martin DBX out of a river, a car that had been fully submerged, suffered catastrophic engine failure, and been declared beyond saving, and brought it back. Impossible builds are not just his content. They are his identity. He bought the crash-damaged Ferrari 296 GTB and had it shipped to his workshop in Leicester. When it arrived, it looked exactly like what it was.
Here is my Ferrari 296. And this is the hybrid battery out of it. And we think the reason why this car don't start is something to do with this in the hybrid battery.
A very expensive pile of parts that had been through a violent collision. The bodywork was destroyed across multiple panels. The suspension was gone. The wiring throughout the car had been compromised, and the structural damage extended into areas that would require serious fabrication to address properly. Matt started working. He sourced replacement body panels, some through official channels, some through the secondary market. He welded in new structural sections where the crash had pierced the floor and compromised the chassis geometry. He laid down fresh paint. He did the work the Ferrari dealership in Cyprus had said was not possible. With the same methodical, documented approach his audience had come to expect. Then, he went further. Instead of simply returning the car to standard road specification, he decided to transform it into something genuinely unique. He began sourcing parts from the Ferrari 296 Challenge, the official factory racing version of the car, used in Ferrari's own motorsport programs. The Challenge kit includes an aggressive front bumper, a large central radiator configuration, an extended rear diffuser, and a prominent rear wing that turns the road car into something that looks like it belongs on a circuit. By the time the bodywork was done, what sat in Matt's garage was extraordinary. Not a stock 296 GTB put back together after a crash, but something entirely different. Something Ferrari had never actually built. A 296 road car wearing full Challenge specification bodywork with a hybrid powertrain underneath that the race version does not have. The only 296 Challenge GTB in existence, but it would not start. And that was when the real fight began. The Ferrari 296 GTB is not a simple car. Underneath the rebuilt bodywork sits a powertrain that is genuinely extraordinary and genuinely proprietary. A twin turbocharged 3.0-liter V6 paired with an electric motor produces a combined output of 830 horsepower in a package weighing barely 1,470 kilograms. The hybrid system is not an add-on. It is integrated into every aspect of how the car operates, from how power is distributed between the combustion engine and the electric motor, to how the transmission behaves, to how the car handles under braking and acceleration. The race kit gamble. When every conventional approach fails, You try something unconventional. Matt Armstrong had already hit the wall with Ferrari's support network. The direct calls had led nowhere. The $20,000 battery replacement had changed nothing. Every forum, thread, and independent specialist had eventually pointed back to the same conclusion. Without Ferrari's software authorization, the car was not going anywhere. So, Matt changed strategy entirely. Instead of continuing to fight for Ferrari's help to fix the car as it was, he decided to transform it into something else completely. If this was going to be a battle, it was going to be a battle worth winning on the largest possible scale. He started ordering parts from the Ferrari 296 Challenge program. The 296 Challenge is not a car you can walk into a dealer and buy off the floor. It is Ferrari's official factory racing variant, built specifically for Ferrari's own single-make motorsport championship. The Challenge kit converts the standard road car into a proper circuit competitor. Aerodynamic body panels designed for downforce rather than road use, a different cooling configuration, with a large central radiator replacing the dual side-mounted units of the GTB, an extended rear diffuser, a prominent rear wing, generating serious mechanical grip at speed, a stripped interior, race-spec safety equipment, and revised suspension geometry. This is the kind of equipment that turns a supercar into a race car. And against all expectations, at first, it worked. Ferrari started sending parts. Some components arrived without issue. The team began fitting them. And the transformation already underway in Matt's garage took on a new dimension. The car that had started as a crashed road car was becoming something genuinely different.
Going from our previous experience with the Ferrari, we know that we couldn't clear the crash data of the airbag module unless we removed it.
Something Ferrari itself had never produced. A 296 with full Challenge bodywork and the hybrid powertrain that the race version does not have. Then Ferrari blocked further orders. The parts stopped coming. A Ferrari representative contacted Matt and explained that the company needed to ensure every component it produces goes to the correct vehicle. Certain parts were restricted. Some required specific authorization Matt did not have. Others were tied to vehicle identification numbers, meaning they could only be supplied to a car that matched the VIN in Ferrari's system. In the exact specification Ferrari had on file, Matt's car did not match anything in Ferrari's system in any conventional way. It was a road car, being converted with race parts, rebuilt outside the authorized network, modified in ways Ferrari had not sanctioned. From Ferrari's perspective, there was no clean way to supply parts to a vehicle in that situation without effectively endorsing what was being done with them. The door closed again. But by this point, Matt had enough to keep moving forward, and the Challenge kit had introduced a new set of technical problems that pushed the build into territory nobody had mapped before. The front bumper from the Challenge specification could not simply bolt onto the GTB because the cooling systems are fundamentally different.
There is still a few more things we need to disconnect from the battery first, like the cooling system.
The road car uses two side-mounted radiators. The Challenge version uses a single large central radiator that requires a completely different bumper structure and airflow management system. Matt had to fabricate custom solutions, engineering radiator mounting points and airflow channels that Ferrari's own documentation never covered. Because Ferrari had never built this specific combination. He was solving problems that had no established answers, because the car he was building had never existed before. The exhaust system required similar custom work. The aerodynamic components needed adaptation to work correctly with the hybrid packaging underneath. Every step forward created a new engineering challenge, and every challenge was solved with fabrication, creativity, and the kind of problem-solving that comes from years spent on cars everyone else had given up on. Do you actually own your car? Matt Armstrong did not set out to start a movement. He bought a crashed car.
And on top of that, no one's ever repaired a 296 which has been this badly damaged. So they were sort of stepping into the unknown. This is the first time the guys are going to see what I bought.
Because it was exactly the kind of challenge his channel was built around. He did not plan to become the face of the right to repair debate in the automotive industry, and he did not plan to expose how Ferrari controls its vehicles through software. He was just a man in a garage who refused to quit. But what he stumbled into is one of the most important questions in the modern automotive world. When you buy a car, any car, what do you actually own? The intuitive answer seems obvious. You own the car. You have the logbook. Your name is on the registration. You paid for it. It sits in your driveway. It is yours. But here is what Matt Armstrong's build, and what Marco Mattiacci confirmed from the inside, made viscerally, unavoidably real, in a way no legal filing or policy paper ever could. When you spend hundreds of thousands of pounds on a modern supercar, you own the shell, you own the seats, you own the badge, the paint, and the privilege of telling people you have one. But the software, the ECUs, the battery management systems, the hybrid control modules that decide whether your engine is permitted to start, belongs to the manufacturer, and the manufacturer can decide, based on criteria it never has to share with you, whether you are allowed to access your own car. Marco explained that Ferrari's approach to the 296's hybrid system made this concrete. The software locks were not a flaw. They were an architectural choice, a deliberate decision to build every modern Ferrari hybrid around the assumption that Ferrari retains final authority over whether the car operates. The moment a vehicle moves outside Ferrari's authorized ecosystem through a crash, a third-party rebuild, an unsanctioned modification, the system exercises that authority. It switches the car off and holds it there. This is not unique to Ferrari. It is the direction the entire automotive industry has been moving in for the past decade, and it is accelerating. Every manufacturer making the transition to complex, hybrid, and electric powertrains is building more proprietary software into their vehicles. The more sophisticated the system and the more deeply integrated the software, the more control the manufacturer retains, and the less meaningful the owner's legal possession of the vehicle actually becomes. A car made after 2015, not a supercar, not even a luxury vehicle, just a modern car, almost certainly contains proprietary systems the owner cannot access, cannot reset, and cannot override without going back to the manufacturer. That reality has been building quietly for years. Matt Armstrong put it on camera. With Marco's knowledge of the exact protocols involved and the pressure of millions of viewers watching the story unfold, Ferrari finally sent their technical team. The software was cleared. The car that had sat silent in Matt's garage for months, the car the Ferrari dealer in Cyprus had declared beyond saving, finally started. The engine fired.
We've got to build up an engine for this Ferrari. Bad news about the original block is, in some of the cylinders,
The hybrid system came online. The build that had consumed months of work, tens of thousands of dollars, custom fabrication. A $20,000 battery that did nothing. Blocked parts orders, refused phone calls, and the help of an engineer who walked away from Ferrari to make it happen was done. You might not own a Ferrari. You might never own one. But if your car was built after 2015, there is a very good chance it has software you cannot access without the manufacturer's permission. Matt Armstrong made that invisible problem impossible to ignore on camera, with 3 million people watching every step. And the fact that a Ferrari engineer like Marco Ferretti walked away from that world to bring his knowledge to a garage in Leicester tells you something important. Not everyone who built these systems agrees with how they are being used. If this video opened your eyes, hit that like button right now. Share this with someone who thinks buying an expensive car means you fully own it. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think the industry changes after this? Subscribe, because this story is nowhere near over. We will see you in the next one.